when that time comes for them to buy the investment property, they don't go looking for the best deal. They come back to the guy that told them they were going to buy the investment property. The time has come, season 2 opener. And this is going to be fun because we're turning the tides a little bit. I'm actually not going to be the interviewer. I'm going to be the interviewee. And I couldn't think of anybody else better to interview me other than Mr. OG himself, Dave Savage. So Dave, first, thank you, because I love the role reversal. And quite honestly, man, you're like the best in the entire business. I think your podcast or YouTube channel is by far the best one for mortgage advisors to be watching. So thank you for that. And thank you for role reversing. Take it over, man. It's all you.
Well, I am super pumped. I remember when you kicked off your podcast journey. Was I number one? Was I your first?
You were my very first interview. Yep.
Yeah. And my only regret at this moment right now is that I am not knee to knee with you and we're doing this in person. But I am truly honored, Dino, and congratulations on the community that you're building, the content that you're creating, the people that you're interviewing, the impact it's having on the mortgage industry. I'm honored to be part of it. So fired up. I'm going to try to honor your structure, your flow. I also love the flow because you always start off with just getting to know the person in work and life. And so let's just start there. Who are you personally and professionally?
I am a father of 4. My oldest is going to be 21 here next month, and my youngest is 11. And I'm still having fun with them. Like, when you get older and you're sitting back in that rocking chair and you think back about all the stuff that you've done in life, truly it boils down to family. So if you want to know the real me, that's what it is. That's where my passion and love is. But it's weird, man, because I love what I do. Like, I actually love coming to work. I love trying to build something, and ethos has become my absolute passion for building. And it's, to me, it's not just the mortgage biz anymore. Before it was just me doing loans, right? And I loved helping people. I loved doing all that. But now I'm trying to do it different. Bill Dallas actually and I were talking recently, and he asked me a question. And I said, I wanted to help as many people as I possibly could, because getting them into a house is something really special. But now I'm trying to help as many mortgage advisors as possible to learn how to do this business the way I did, right? That what I think is the right way. And by helping mortgage advisors, I truly feel that Ethos and all of us can help thousands more people and get them into homes with the right experience. That's who I am.
I love that. Again, I've seen your journey. I've interviewed you as a top producer. And one of the things I love about how you answer that question, I hope audience, you caught this. He could have started with the numbers and the profession. And I've interviewed him as one of America's most elite mortgage professionals, but he started with family. And that's always something that's distinguished you, just how much you care about being a great husband, about being a great father. And for anyone listening to this, like, you want to win in life in a way that's sustainable. How old are you, by the way, now?
55 now.
55. I'm 62. And I've never been more pumped. And when you integrate life and work and family and profession, more fired up than ever.
I gotta just throw out a little shout out to my wife as well, because being married to a mortgage guy just isn't probably the easiest thing. So for all spouses out there, you guys have your hands full, and then being married to me on top of it, who actually loves going to work and doing what I do. There's a lot that goes into being a spouse of somebody like me and you and everybody else. So, I love you, honey. Thank you for putting up with me. And let's, keep supporting me, because this is going to be great.
Well, one little correction there. It's not that you're a mortgage guy. It's that you are obsessed with impact. I mean, from the interviews I've done with you over the years, you are obsessed with impacting your customers. That's one of the things that got you to use Mortgage Coach. You were obsessed with creating wow For consumers, that's, your whole gift program and all things. Like you're not just a mortgage guy. You're obsessed with impacting people in really positive ways. Which anyone listening to this is in the mortgage business. Like all the best are obsessed with impact. So what's something that you've now interviewed a lot of mortgage professionals, and you've interviewed some just extraordinary, some of the most successful executives, some of the most successful loan officers. You've also mentored and been around people that are that incredibly successful. What's something that you think you do better than most in this business?
Yeah, I I want to frame it around the mom because it's everything I've been working on, and that is mortgages under management. And that's just a way of thinking, and that means a loan is not just a loan, right? A client is your client forever, for your entire career, and even beyond. Whoever you're passing your book down to is everything about this. So when it's the one thing, it's the full experience. But if I had to say what moves the needle the most in my business, has always been my always present program. And that's my gifting program. And it's I mean, I've heard of every single one out there, and I still feel that mine is the best in the entire industry. I've never seen anyone like it.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt you have something very special with that. But I also think it's how you help people not only achieve homeownership, but how you help people achieve financial freedom with homeownership. And by the way, mom, for anyone listening to this that's not familiar with that term, mortgages under management. And Dino has just always been very passionate around measuring how many mortgages he has under management, so that really, like, being in the mortgage professional and from Dino's perspective, it's a residual income business. And it is, in my opinion, a combination of the gifting program that creates the emotional connection. But I also think there's a yin and yang. You also are really passionate about people understanding the financial opportunity of homeownership. That's what led you to use Mortgage Coach and make sure that consumers really understand both the economics and the emotion. Any comments on that?
Yeah, couple. Years ago, Dave, you actually you played a role in it because I bought Mortgage Coach and I wasn't using it other than every so often, right? And you just kept on me like world's greatest mentor and salesperson ever, because you don't give up, you don't get angry, you just keep reframing until it sticks. And one day you said something and it stuck. And what you because I remember saying to you, like, I don't really need to use it. Like, they're calling me and they're wanting a loan. Like, I don't need to sell them. And I looked at it as a tool to sell them. And the way you reframed it, and you told me, like, it's not about that. It's about being a higher level mortgage guy, right? It's like being higher level, giving them a presentation that teaches them and shows them everything they need to know about this loan so that they don't have more questions. And by doing that, you said, I promise you, you will get even, I know you get a lot of referrals, but I promise you, you're going to get even more referrals. And I finally gave it a try. And I remember this one lady, it was my first like mortgage coach. This lady was over at Chase on a jumbo loan. And at the time, they had better rates than we did, but they were screwing up, right? It just wasn't coming together. And her agent said, can you please just go talk to Dino? I guarantee you won't have that same experience. And I thought to myself, all right, let me do this. I put together my first mortgage coach. I cleaned it up really nice. It took me a little while, right? After that, I could whip them out in like 3 minutes, it seems like, but the first one took a minute. But I still remember the comment that she made. And she said, the guys at Chase didn't even put anything like this together for me. And that was the beginning of exactly what you were trying to tell me. I'm going to be a higher level guy. I'm going to be more like a financial planner. instead of a mortgage guy. And the referrals, even though I was getting all referrals before, you know, my business escalated rapidly after that. And that was kind of the beginning of this. I have to be a higher level individual all the time at everything I do. And if a client calls me with questions, then I did something wrong. Like and I learned how to do that. I learned how to address every single one of their concerns up front so that when I asked, do you guys have any more questions? I mean, let's call it 98% of the time, the answer should be no, you covered everything. So that's what it was.
Love that. So, so for anyone listening to this and you're in the mortgage business, I want you to really start thinking of this term mortgages under management. It starts by measure, how many mortgages do you have under management? And what's the total loan volume of that? And then start thinking to yourself, could I turn that into a residual income business? Obviously, if rates come down, you're going to be able to do more loans because you can do rate and term refis. But people are always buying and selling homes. People are always doing cause-driven transactions. So let's walk everybody through how you actually do it. Like if you've got your mom process, but just give us a walkthrough at a high level. How are you actually doing it?
Yeah, I would say the very beginning is always about the initial consultation, but I'm going to walk you through even prior to that. I used to get referrals, and then I would jump in and say, "Hey, great to meet you, blah blah blah. I'll move, mountains to make this work for you. What's a good time?" And to be honest with you, man, I was getting like either no response or pushback, or we'd go back and forth. It was just the stupidest thing ever, right? And I thought I was actually being more helpful by saying, "What works for you?" Instead, I switched over to Calendly, and I wouldn't respond anymore. I always had my assistant respond. Even if I could, I wouldn't. She would respond, and this is Dino's calendar. And I got to tell you, just like that, people started booking appointments and they were never late. They always send out that, reminder a couple minutes before, right? Nobody was ever late anymore. And all my appointments got booked. And there's this piece, you guys, where if you want to be a higher level guy, higher level guys don't respond to everything themselves. Your attorney doesn't rarely, I should say, ever responds, right? Especially to an initial something where they don't even know you. Their assistant, their admin assistant always responds. So that's how I looked at it. And I decided that's the new approach, right? So oftentimes it was, "Hey, thank you for your time, Dino. Thank you for this. I know you're busy." And I'm not saying that to sound like I'm important. You establish it that way so your clients respect you as somebody who's important up front. And there is a proper way of doing that. So that's the very beginning. And then that initial consultation, I know there's a lot of people that are good at it out there. But the one thing I would say is that you got to keep refining your skills because that initial consultation is everything. It sets up not just the next, 30, 60, 90 days, but it sets up the next 30 years if you do it properly. You have to be likable, right? Otherwise, they're not going to want to work with you. You have to be confident so they know they should be working with you. And you have to be the guy that they know will be there for the rest of their mortgage lifespan, right? Like you have to be that guy. So all of that to me happens in a 20 to 30-minute window. And I became really, really good at that. That was my thing. And in that little short period of time, I could win somebody over. We never even talked about rates, Dave. Like good mortgage advisors don't talk about rates in the first 20 to 30 minutes. They know you're going to get them one of the best rates, maybe not the best, but one of the best rates during that time. But I remember there was, there were many moments where somebody was just a first time home buyer. And not only did I walk through what this next 30, 60, 90 days was going to look like, but I even implanted, right? I planted that seed of they were going to be buying an investment property one day. and they were going to be having a move up home one day. And when you plant that seed properly, they don't veer from that when the time comes. When that time comes for them to buy the investment property, they don't go looking for the best deal. They come back to the guy that told them they were going to buy the investment property.
Yeah, well, because you're not in the business of just closing a loan, getting people good rates, closing on time and keeping your promises. You're in the business, I call it financial freedom lending, of helping people achieve homeownership with financial freedom. And you just heard it, by the way, Dino answered that. He's like, he wants to help people achieve their financial dreams, like mortgages under management, because most people need mortgages to achieve their dreams when it comes to real estate, whether it's buying their first home, whether it's their move up home, their investment properties. Yes, they may get to a point where should I pay cash or should I be strategic and put X down, leave X with a financial advisor? You're just playing an entirely different game. And because Dino does this consistently, he gets great at it. And it's, by the way, it's a whole different game. Like if you're on this call right now and you're a manager, you probably got some loan officers playing this game like Dino is. You have some that are just playing the loan officer game and they're just closing loans. It's an entirely different experience. So why? Why do you build it out this way?
Yeah, man, when I first started, like any young man, probably, you do it to make money, and it started out that way, right? I was just trying to make money, and it quickly turned into truly wanting to help people, and I like to use the word love because I feel that's what it is, and even as men, we shouldn't be afraid to say we love our clients and we love our realtors and we love the people that we work with. But I do, man. I really love my clients. I mean, if you think about it, right? They bought my house, they bought my truck, they did all this stuff for my kids. They did it all, and I'm, with many of them, I'm really good friends with them now. Even if we don't see each other all the time, thanks to social media, we could still be friends. And many of them, like there was one lady where I posted something. It was a picture of one of my kids, right? And I haven't seen her in, well, probably over 12 years, like actually physically seen her. But the way she commented on it was like, I can't believe he's gotten so big. I still remember when you first had him, right? And this is a client of mine. But when you flip that switch and this is the connection you have with people, that's it right there. So I think the why is I truly love these people, and I learned something a while ago and it drove me insane. But you know, I started having, well, I at one point, and so when I was having my fourth kid, I started panicking a little bit, right? We had just gotten out of the 2008 debacle. Uh, I was just fighting my way back. And then the next thing I know, my wife's pregnant and we're having our fourth kid. I'm just like, what am I going to do? I'm going to be working till I'm 80. And I decided I have to move down because I was here in my career. I need to move down and go back into first time home buyers. But I did it purposefully because I had done all the work, right? All the stats. There were so many young people coming of age of that first time home buyer. And then when you look back at the charts, right, there was thousands, millions of people being born of that age. So it was going to be good years to come. So I decided I gotta step down, go back into first time home buyers. And then I had to retool how I talk to them, right? Because it was a different person, different animal. Well, what I realized is they're coming into the process already stressed out, like legit stressed out over the whole thing. And when I finally dug into it, I realized it's because they're being told, whether it's through friends, through social media, through any media for that matter, that buying a house is one of the most stressful things that you can do in life. So I thought through that a little bit and I thought through, well, let's think about this, right? Real estate agents, many of them only do 2 or 3 deals a year. So they're probably at 2 or 3 deals a year, they're probably not as good as they should be at their trade. And I can guarantee when they get that deal, their paycheck, they're cashing that in already. So they're stressed out through this whole process, more so than the client because they want that paycheck. And I saw this happen. I saw realtors inject fear and chaos into the transaction because of their own needs of this paycheck. And then I realized, well, why don't we just flip the script here and just let's let's give them permission to celebrate. And that was the beginning of like this whole transformation. Let's give them permission to celebrate. So when I worked through that a little bit, it started for me with gift giving, and I started giving them a gift not at closing. If you think about it, Dave, every single real estate agent, mortgage professional, what do? They wait until the deal closes to prove that they've done a good job. And then they ask for a referral, a review, and they give them a closing gift. And it's usually a cheesy ass gift that doesn't mean anything. So I decided, well, that's stupid. Why don't I know I'm going to do a good job? Why do I have to wait until the end to prove it? I'm going to give them that gift up front. So as soon as we get a pre-approval done, bam, first gift goes out. And that gift sets it all up. Number one, it's creating a bond between us. And number two, it's giving them permission to start celebrating. And that's how the beginning of it works. And then all the way down to when we issue the pre-approval, I realized we were just issuing a pre-approval. Well, we changed that too. Now the pre-approval is a celebratory email. Everybody's on it. It's a big congratulations. It's a big let's get after it and find that new home of yours. It's a thing. Like that's the way to start the process.
Something that came to mind, you mentioned kids, you mentioned gifts, and I want to remind everybody in the mortgage business, one of the biggest gifts you can give a client that has kids, is the empowerment and be a financial literacy partner to help that family bring leadership to their family, to help their kids get into home ownership younger. I'm super grateful, Dino, that you're an ambassador for First Home IQ. And I think that's, by the way, that's something I think the industry gets wrong, is that we wait for people to say, hey, can you help me figure out how to help my kids? Which, by the way, how many people ever reached out and said, hey, well, by the way, they are doing it more than ever, where you see families helping families get into home ownership. But I think the entire industry, guys, we need to get much more proactive. The American dream is home ownership with financial freedom. And if you have kids in the family, it's for those kids to also have home ownership. So huge, huge gift. Dino, in addition to that, any other like mistakes that you see the industry make when it comes to gift giving?
Yeah. One instance comes to mind. I remember a deal funded. I called the client. I talked to him. He said the realtor had just come by and gave him a gift card to Home Depot for $500. And he poo-pooed it. He said, I wonder how much money she made on me. And I thought to myself, man, my gifts are $20. They're not that much. But she quantified the gift with a $500 gift card, which, by the way, a gift card is the worst gift you could ever give anybody. It means zero, zero. Don't ever give a gift card. Always have meaning up front. And the best way to do that is to actually listen to your clients when they talk and get to know what their dreams are and their goals and all that. And I'll tell you, a friend of mine, Jay O'Brien, he owns Client Giant, which is a gifting program that a lot of realtors and mortgage guys use. Him and I, before he started that company, he was one of my realtors, and we did a lot of this together. Best gift I've ever seen ever in this career of mine is him giving this particular gift to these older couple. They retired and they moved from the Inland Empire down to Huntington Beach. Now, Granted, they were still like 5 miles. It seemed like, I think, like 5 miles from the beach, but compared to 45 minutes, an hour from the beach, you're in a beach town. And they were so excited about that, man. And you know what they were so excited about? They said, our dream has always been able to ride our bikes to the beach. So, best gift ever. He shows up with the key and the garage door opener. And he says, usually I want everybody to go in through the front door, but right now I want you to open your garage first. Opens the garage, a his and hers beach cruiser. That's a gift, man. That's a gift because he was listening to his clients, and nobody ever does that anymore.
Well, I can personally attest to that. Big shout out to Brennan Rose, the realtor that sold Kelly and I about 3 years ago a house in Newport Beach, and his and hers electric bike. And I use that thing all the time, and it was the best gift ever. And he ended up, when we sold that house and moved here to Lake Oswego, the emotional connection that we felt. Now, again, he did a great job, but that gift made a difference. Like if I wouldn't have listed the home with him, I would have felt guilty. So I love that. I love that. Any other mistakes that you see or do's and don'ts around gifting that you want to give a shout out on real quick?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say mistakes. I'm gonna say I've done this for so many years now, and it's the single best thing I've done, that's moved the needle, right? And it's gifting, but it's not a gift. It's a lot of gifts. My average client will get somewhere between 13 to 16 gifts from the time they're pre-approved to the time they have their 1 year anniversary. And I break it down. I have a before, during, and after. So the before is easy, right? You're pre-approved, we immediately get the gift out. The other gift is if you write an offer and it does not get accepted. That's a moment you should never let go. You should never just assume it's no big deal. You never know if they're blaming the realtor for that. You never know if they're blaming you for not being aggressive enough with contingencies and how fast you can close. And you never know if some other realtor or lender is in their ear talking at that moment. And if you just assume everything is fine, as my dad always said, assuming always makes an ass out of you. So stop assuming anything. He would always tell me that. So we send out the sunshine box if an offer doesn't get accepted. And the sunshine box, everything in it is yellow. And it's basically the message is, don't worry, be happy. There's a better home coming for you. It was meant to be this way. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you think through some of this stuff, your realtor partner will appreciate you more than you could ever imagine because that has their back too. So we have the before, and then again, celebration, right? Get an offer accepted. We immediately put out 3 bottles of champagne with 3 specific purposes to pop the cork. And the first one is you just got into your new home, right? Like you just got the offer accepted. That's hard enough. Cheers to that. Second one is right before you're signing loan documents and we're just about done. And the third one is when you get the keys to your new home. So I remember there was a social media post out there one day and somebody asked if there's a good lender. And I had somebody say, our lender was Dino and he was the best, right? And then some other person in the comments said, our lender sent us a bottle of champagne. And then I had another client jump in, same thing, right? And not the first one, a second client, and say, well, our lender was Dino and he sent us 3 bottles of champagne. So that was a nice win. But we have this whole process, champagne in the beginning or Martinelli's if we know that, they're alcoholics, and you should know your clients well enough. Number 2 is something right in the middle, packing stuff for boxes and all that. And number 3 is right before signing loan documents. So that process keeps them engaged the entire time. And then we have our after campaign, and you get your initial gift we order it right before signing loan documents. So the initial gift at funding goes out immediately. 30 days later, another one, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and the 1 year anniversary. And that completes our before, during, and after. So that is so powerful, Dave. I can't tell you how much my business blew up when I started doing that consistently. That's the key word, consistently. Because a lot of people fail when they just give up too soon, or they do something but they don't do it to the fullest, right? They chintz just a little bit on something, and don't chintz. How much money do you make on a loan? Come on, spend a few $100. It's not that big of a deal. My entire process, and like I said, 13 to 16 gifts is under $400. It's nothing.
So you said something that I think is super important for all the new loan officers listening to this. In all the interviews that I've done, interviewing the best of the best, and what's the difference between good and great? It's consistency. It's have a strategy, have a plan, and then consistently deliver on that plan. And you heard Dino, he's got a budget of $400. He knows how many he has. By the way, are there any other things that you see loan officers quit on, or I don't, not mistakes, but is there another part? Because you now, how many loan officers you guys have at Ethos Lending? You're growing.
Yep. We got up to 60. We're down to 52, which is a good thing. It's a positive thing. Yeah. Pruning, as they say, actually is helpful. So we're down to 52 right now. I still believe going to be at 100 by the end of the year.
Let's
I'm
go.
excited about that.
Good luck on that. But what are things that you see people miss or quit on? And it could be what you already said, but is there anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I'm seeing a lot of mortgage advisors being loan officers as opposed to mortgage advisors. And I'm seeing them thinking that automation and technology and all this stuff can buy them back more time, and it should buy them back more time with crap jobs, but it should never buy them back more time with their clients. Stop texting and emailing all the time. Like, it's fine to do that for certain things, but you have to create a workflow that says, I am going to talk to the client at the beginning of the transaction. I'm going to talk to the client. I always did it at the very beginning, initial consultation. I always did it once we got them pre-approved because I wanted to go through the pre-approval with them. And then my LOA did everything from there. And then I did it again at loan docs because I always made a video for loan documents to explain to them everything they were signing. And then I did it one more time at funding to say thank you, right? Like, truly thank you. And oh, by the way, and I never ask for referrals. I everything I do says this is how I work. So I get those referrals, but I never wait for a moment to say, can I have a referral? You don't have to do that when you do a great job.
Just my take is I think you can ask for a referral. I think there's a great way to do it when you're giving the kind of value that Dino gives. And, my answer to that, one of the biggest mistakes I see loan officers make, the inconsistency of the unbelievable experience. And they assume, like, I won this deal. Like, go the whole mile. Like, make sure every consumer gets a mortgage coach presentation so they know that you heard them. They get to see visually what's happening. And then you combine the ethos, no pun intended, of the wealth building aspects, the analytical aspects. And then you put the gift program where you're connecting emotionally, you're showing them love. Don't assume anything. Consistently deliver that experience. So let's give a gift to all the new loan officers, or like you like to call everybody an advisor. And by the way, my mission is to turn every loan officer into an advisor. Uh, I will tell you, if you call yourself a mortgage advisor and you're giving people a fee worksheet at the point of sale, you're not an advisor. You're delivering a transactional experience. But any one piece of advice that you would have to all the new LOs, hopefully new advisors on listening to this?
Yeah, you know, if I could do anything over again, I would keep a good CRM and make sure that I was dialed with everything in it and up to date all the time. And when I say that, it's a combination of stuff, and man, with today's technology, right, with AI, like that's the easiest thing in the world. But I I don't do anything anymore that isn't recorded because I want all of my transcripts. Like there's people in our own company, right, where they're like, I have it auto set to just record, and I'm like, listen, man, I can't see you, right? I don't. These are transcripts. I'm telling you right now, you better start saving all of these transcripts because it's absolute gold if you want to have a thriving business with AI. And that's the one thing I would say because you don't have to go in and update anything anymore in your CRM. You just upload the transcripts and you can even create workflow for that so you don't even have to do it. And everything you talk about will get updated all the time. It's the greatest thing in the world. But I can promise you this, I used to remember every detail about everybody. I could even remember their phone numbers. I just start dialing, right? Well, who does that anymore, right? Our brains forget about certain things and we don't take loan apps the long way anymore. So our brains don't get that ingrained into them. But it is super important for you to remember people and remember the details and the whys behind the people. So stop sending a link to people to just fill everything out without making that effort to talk to them. And then when you do, ingrain that in you. The why. Why are they buying a house? Their children, right? The fact that their dream was to retire and be able to ride their bikes to the house. That's something you can never forget. You should never forget stuff like that. So my one piece of advice is make that effort and love your clients. And if you can love your clients, you'll start remembering this stuff and that relationship will be formed. And I'm telling you, that relationship will last for over 30 years. It'll actually last generationally.
I love that piece of advice. And it's coming up a lot in the interviews that I do with some of America's best loan officers, where they are using whatever recording device, Otter, there's all kinds of great ones, and they're doing it so they can take better notes. They can remember things, whether it's updating that. But I also want to throw everybody, like, guys, that's game film. And you can take that and you can put a prompt on it to make you a better advisor. Like my favorite sales book is called The Challenger Sale. And I can, after I've had a conversation with someone for an hour in a sales conversation, say, hey, be a sales coach, talking to my AI, and review this conversation I had with blank, blank, blank. My goal was X, Y, and Z. And give me some coaching. What did I do well? What can I do better? Anything I should consider for my next meeting, and boom. So that that advice is golden. And for all you new loan officers, tremendous value in doing that. So so first of all, it's been an awesome podcast conversation. I love it. I think we've been pretty tactical. Like, first of all, I think people listening, they probably know who you are. Uh, but since you're the one always interviewing people, I don't know if they really know what makes you tick, like your ethos. And maybe you share that in your podcast, but what what is your ethos?
Yeah. So I worked on. I'm gonna read it. It's not too lengthy, but let me read it.
No, you ready?
Uh,
Let's go.
yeah. It's faith first, family always, rooted in community. My life and leadership are built on these three pillars. Faith anchors my purpose, family fuels my why, community gives my work meaning. I believe we're called to love people, not just in words, but through presence, service, and genuine care. My Greek roots taught me that life is richer when it's shared, and we are meant to gather, to support one another, and to grow together. In both business and in life, I strive to lead with vision, act with discipline, and stay grounded in gratitude. Every person I meet deserves my full attention, my belief in their potential, and my best effort. My goal isn't to build an empire, it's to build people, families, and legacies that last.
Love that. Love that. So by the way, guys, ethos is your values. It is your principles. It is your beliefs. And if you live that ethos, it becomes your character. And if you've got a winning ethos and character and you're living it, you have great results in both life and business. I'm currently in the process of writing a book called The Savage Code, and it is a personal operating system to win in life and work. And I took the time. It ended up being a 40-page Google Doc. It doesn't read as eloquently as what Dino just did. Although after he did that, I think I'm gonna call it the Dino ethos. I'm gonna take my 40-page Google Doc of principles, philosophies, mantras. Like for me, when I founded Mortgage Coach, my advice makes a difference. That was my value prop, and that became part of my ethos that led to the founding of Mortgage Coach. It led to becoming one of America's top loan officers. But I would push everybody, like what we've talked about so far is is really valuable, I think. But that was the most valuable thing, because if you have these values and these principles and you're living them, like it will take care of all that tactical stuff. Like we said, the biggest mistake people make is inconsistent execution on best practice. That comes down to mindset. It comes down to ethos. It comes down to values. And maybe you have them, you're just not executing on them. Anything else you want to add on to the ethos part of this conversation? Just because I know you named a company ethos. I'm sure that has to do with your Greek heritage a little bit, but anything else on this particular question or topic?
Yeah, I just love the word. Like I'm in love with this word. And I think, one of the words that I read here was gratitude. Um, I truly believe, and it's something I actually love about you, Dave. I see a lot of gratitude in everything that you do, and you're not afraid to say that. And I think sometimes people get overwhelmed with everything going on in their life, and either they forget to show gratitude for what they do have, or they just stop realizing that they actually have plenty, and they should start giving gratitude and saying it verbally so that they can tell it to their own selves that they are blessed beyond belief. I mean, man, you can complain about anything you want, but you can just walk out your door and be like, "Oh my goodness." Right? I mean, your struggle before we started was, should you do this interview here, or should you go to your beautiful backyard and do it so you got this killer background, right? I mean, that's being blessed. The thing is we're all blessed. I went to the San Clemente Pier yesterday with all my wife's family that was visiting from Iowa, and I could just, like, see it in their faces, man. They were like, "Oh my gosh, this is beautiful." I'm like, "This is my home," you know? We're blessed, dude, like, gratitude.
Well, let's do a few loops on this, just because you said something else I think is so important. And by the way, I'd push everybody who's listening to this podcast, if you're watching this recording, you might even want to pause it here and document some of the values that drive you. Like, while I have over 50 called Savage Code, like over 50 things documented that are part of my ethos, there's four mantras that I have that guide everything. And one that I strive to be always better, never bitter. That is a cornerstone to live by, that I try to live by. Um, have fun, play loose. So if we had a compass, think of it like business. My advice makes a difference. Just to have fun, play loose makes life better. But the single most important personal code that I try to live by: always grateful, always curious. And I put those two together because for me, I feel that curiosity drives that gratitude. Like if I don't remember, and again, this is just a little thing I say to myself: always curious, always grateful. Are you being that way? Um, I can't live a life of always better, never bitter without always curious, always grateful. So with that said, Dino, you read a, I don't know, personal ethos statement that I'm sure means something to you, meant something to me. But what are a couple of those other codes? When I launch my book, uh, and I'm going to do a podcast around the Savage Code, I'm going to definitely decode you. But what are a couple other just like codes that you have, like phrases that drive that ethos?
Well, I already used some of it, right? Love um, is important, and I think a lot of it does come from my Greek roots, just the way I grew up. Uh, you know, uh,
Yeah.
Oftentimes, if you've been to Greece, you'll hear people say, "Man, I've never been treated so good." Like everybody just wants to feed me, and everybody just wants to take care of me, right? And they'll you say you like something, they'll go give it to you. Like they'll take the shirt off their back and give it to you. Like that's where the phrase came from. And I want the world to be like that. I remember being a kid and my mom always had food available just in case anybody stopped by. And and I think through that a little bit, and sometimes these days it's like on a whim, I might say to my wife, "You know what? Let's just go out to dinner." And then every once in a while, we'll say something like, "Should we call up?" And she's like, "No, we can't just call them up. I mean, you got to plan this stuff." I'm like, "Why? Why do we have to plan it? Why can't we just decide it? Why can't we call them? Even if they have dinner ready, they might just say, 'That's perfect lunch at the office tomorrow. Let's go out to dinner.'" And I would love to see the world get back to this kind of thing where we can just on a whim hang out with each other and sit around the table or wherever we are for hours and have fun. Like I think that's the key to life right there.
I love that. I love that. So I would love to, before we run out of time here, know some of the books, podcasts, things that you listen to aside from the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. What are a few of your favorite books, or forget about favorite books, books that have had the most impact in who you are today as a mortgage entrepreneur? What are a couple of the books that come to mind right now?
Yeah. One of my favorites is Good to Great, Jim Collins. Just a truly impactful book for me. And I'll say that we're good. We're a lot of us are good at a lot of things, right? Like if you're doing 50 million a year, you're good at your job. But why not 100 million, right? Don't you want to be great at it? And sometimes it's not about numbers, but can you have more impact on people? Even if you're fine at 50, can you do things a little better so that you can be great at it and leave a bigger impact? And that particular book meant a lot to me because he even said, and I still remember this, he's like, there's a lot of good churches. There's just not very many great ones. And that's a bold statement, right? Like there's a lot of good companies, just not a lot of great ones. And I strive to be great, maximum output for the time that I put into something. And I think that one book made a lot of that.
Hey, real quick before you go
Yeah,
to your next one, I wanna talk about that just for a second, because that is definitely a book that has also had a lot of impact for me. Good is the biggest enemy of great, and then also, be a level 5 leader. Like those are both things that are in my personal code, and I don't know that they would have been part of my code the way they are if I had not read that book. But reading the book wasn't enough. I had to read the book. I had to take a note. I had to make it mine. And that's what Dino did. And so I would just again push the audience, anyone listening to this right now, like if you have not started documenting some of your own code, put it on hold. We got a couple more questions and start documenting some things that really matter to you. Some books that you've read that have become part of who you are? Like, like hopefully you're getting value from this entire podcast conversation, but but the more clear you can be on that, the more you can live to be your best optimized self. What's another book or two?
So, Dave, I'm gonna pause for 1 sec and take a step back because you just started talking about code again, and I didn't say this last time, but I took a second to look it up. So, after you started in with your code and your book that you're writing with your son, which I love, by the way. Uh, I use a platform called Notion a lot, where I take a lot of notes and I put stuff in there. So I created the code, personal manifesto in progress, and I'm just going to read a couple of these here. So the first one is plant trees, don't pick fruit. There's a temptation to chase quick wins, to grab what's already grown instead of doing the slower, harder work of planting something yourself. I've learned that the most meaningful things in life require patience. You plant when there's no shade, you water when there's no fruit, you trust the process before there's proof. An orchard doesn't reward impatience, but once it's grown, it feeds far more than just you. This applies to faith, family, business, and character. Build things that outlast you. Don't live off someone else's harvest forever. Plant your own trees. So that was one. I won't read through all of them, but the second one is do the work when no one's watching. The third one is treat people the way you want to be treated. Stay curious longer than you stay confident. Keep perspective. I'm gonna I'm gonna do that word just for a little bit because perspective is one of my favorite words. Um, so I'm gonna come back to it, but the last two: choose simplicity and be a good steward of what you're given. So I'm gonna go back to perspective though, because it's one of my favorite words, man. Uh, and it goes back to a little bit of that gratitude thing I was just talking about. All too often, I, I, well, I'll even back up more. I'm gonna thank my dad for this because my dad like implanted positivity into my mind and taught me how to stay strong throughout whatever comes my way. Like whatever it is, I can overcome it.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna thank my dad for first starting that in me, and then all the books that I've read since then because of the want and the need to be more like that. Um, so so perspective. You might think your life sucks, and I'm looking around, I'm like, you're driving a Mercedes, dude. or you're driving a Range Rover or whatever it is that you think is so amazing, but your life sucks. Or politics. Oh my goodness, right? Like politics. We're gonna have to move out of whatever state you're in. Really? Because I can venture out to say when you walk out of your door, not one of those things that you worry about, even remotely, is around you. So how you perceive things is everything. And if you can stop reading stupid shit and start reading good things that puts this into you, start listening to good podcasts that, fills you, man, your perspective will change. And when your perspective changes, everything around you does too. Like the good comes with it. So I love that word.
Love that you went through that exercise, and not only did you have some phrases that meant something to you, but then you you put some meat on the bones and you documented it. I'm going to read one more of mine and then have at least one more book recommendation ready because I also really want to hear what a couple of your other books are. But I've got this one code. And if I just said the three, well, it's be a son, like be a son. But then here's what I wrote about it. Some people just have the sun inside of them. It's hard to explain. Their presence just brightens. It's not about their beautiful smile. They have an internal energy that sheds light and feels like the sun. The energy and the light does not want anything in return. It's just sun. I work hard every day to make every minute to be a person who brings light, positivity, creativity to every situation and to everyone I touch. I don't always live up to that standard, but I always do my best. So by the way, that's note to self. Like when I first wrote this, I was creating a document for my kids and it was just a dad legacy thing. It's turned into a mission, but guys, this has been an incredible conversation. I hope you've got to know Dino better, but I also hope at a code level, at an ethos level, that you guys are getting a lot of value. So give us another book or two, and then I have one last question.
Yeah, the that word consistency, right? The compound effect. Compound Effect is one of the best books. I just got my 14-year-old to read it, which made me super happy that he did. And and oftentimes we think of it for investing purposes, right? Like if you start investing early, you'll have this much later. And but it goes way deeper than that. I mean, I've got some injuries right now, so I'm not working out a lot. But I've worked out almost every day my entire life for years, ever since I was in my 20s. I rarely ever missed a workout. I work out first thing in the morning. Well, that compound effect is what's helped me through so many different things of staying healthy. Even when people were like, "How do you stay fit when you eat like that?" Well, it's because I go to the gym in the morning. you know, I can eat more if I want, right? But you make good choices in life and good things come. And that just happens with absolutely everything in life. So consistency with a good thing is a huge win. And I think people give up too soon on something, instant gratification. Like screw that, man. Come on. Put some time into something. Slow cook it. Oh, does it taste better when it's slow cooked?
No, no doubt. Love it. Any last books before the last question?
I always also throw in Proverbs in the Bible. Just each and every one of those is a motivational book all on its own.
Yeah, it really is. I can't remember the name of it. I bought a book that's like a coffee table book of proverbs that we have out in our living room, and I reference that all the time. So, dude, it's no wonder you and I connect the way we do. I know you are a sun person. You always bring light, and through your smile, through your energy, through your wisdom. So last question, and this could be valuable whether it's someone new to the business. Just I think you call it, and this is one of your little moves, the $1 million drop. So what is like, we could parachute you into, well, I'm not going to put you in Greek. Like, let's not go there because that's your homeland. Let's drop you into Ireland. And what would you do to win? Like what's your $1 million drop in Ireland?
Yeah, so framing that, I have to do loans. I have all the knowledge I have, but I don't know anybody and I don't have any money. You're gonna give me an allowance that gives me just enough to get by, right? Because
Wait,
I
wait.
when I
I'm
s-
gonna make this a little easier. Let's just parachute you into a new city in America. Let's get you into Columbus, Ohio. Got to keep
there it
the
is.
annuals off.
All right. I don't know anybody there. So first thing I would do, and this is the advice I give everybody, is I would first analyze my social media content, and if I don't have any, I would create it, but I would ask myself the one question: how do I want people to perceive me? And and if you don't have that kind of content on your site, right, on your social handles or platforms, then people aren't looking at you the way that you think they should be. So reframe everything you do around that. That's about 20% of the job, by the way. I would definitely have that though. And then I just can't help it. Even with all the technology, I would still go old school. I would still go to open houses, but I would have strategies in place going there, right? When I was younger and I did them, I didn't have any strategies. I just showed up and I was trying to meet people. Well, with a little bit of age comes wisdom, and with wisdom comes better strategies. You can do things better, right? Like I've heard plenty of things on your podcast of things that people do. I love it, right? Like QR codes and various things. Have things set up, have a script set up, practice it, don't just wing it. Go in there, meet them, and then always show people what you can do for them. Tony Robbins at a seminar I was at, uh, it happened to be a realtor, stood up and made a comment, and he's like, "Well, what do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a real estate agent." He's like, "Great, you know, what do you do for people?" And he kept like pestering him a little bit, and he told everybody, he's like, "Listen," he goes, "if you want to be successful, stop being a fucking taker and start being a giver." That's exactly what he said, and it's true. Start learning how to be a giver. So go to an open house and stop asking them for business. Start figuring out how you're going to help them do better business, right? What can you give them that's going to be better? So I would do open houses. I would still go to any and all of the realtor parties and BNI groups, and I would just hit them all up, man. I mean, you got nothing but time when you don't have any deals going, and then I would turn around and start stalking people on social media, and I'd start DMing them slowly, right? And then I'd be trying to introduce myself to them through the phone or a particular, event that realtors were at, whatever that might be. And then through that process, you just keep on going. They have to see that you're going to be around, that you're going to be consistent. And that's important, right? Like they don't know you. Why should they give you any business the very first time you call them? You got to figure out how to get them to acknowledge you as a person who's in here for good and who's going to do good in your community, and you're going to help them grow their business. A lot of realtors, and this is stuff I did, a lot of realtors, they sucked at database management. They sucked at organization. So as a youngster, I went in, I was like, well, hey, let's put a CRM together. Let's like bring all these contacts you have from everywhere and let's bring them in. Today, I'm spent plenty of time learning AI. I would just get in there and be like AI class after AI class. How can I help you guys organize your lives and be more productive? I believe in the theory of reciprocity. You give and you'll get back. So that's the approach I would take. And it would be on 80/20. I'd put 80% of my efforts out towards direct contact with people, 20% on social media. Then once I made those contacts, I'd start doing webinars so I could do one to many. And then I'd just keep rolling from there.
I love that. You will definitely win in any market you go into with that. A little ad from my perspective, which I know you do. So this is not something that Dino wouldn't do, but guys, your product is not your loan. Your product is the problems that you solve for those realtors. So open houses specifically, have a vision of how you can help that agent sell that home, and have a vision with mortgage strategies, of course, and have a vision for how you're going to help that realtor get more leads at those homes. I'm pretty sure you have interviewed Sean Herrero on your podcast. So last year, or no, was it this year? Maybe it was this year. If you go to our, I've got a newsletter, Modern Mortgage Leadership on LinkedIn. Be sure to subscribe to that. I have a whole breakdown on how it's Sean Herrero's game plan. He doesn't go to open houses, but he's working like 20 open houses every week with a combination of mortgage coach and a combination of helping people get more leads at those open houses. So Dino, I'm super honored to help kick off season 2. For anyone listening to this, I hope you got incredible value. If you have not subscribed to whatever channel you're on right now, subscribe. If you have not forwarded this to your mortgage friends, guys, forward this.
Well, that's a wrap. The first episode of season 2. And it was me. First, I want to thank Dave Savage. He is a dear friend, but also an excellent interviewer and an icon in our industry. So, Dave, thank you so much. Appreciate you doing this for me. Guys, I don't know what to say. I just want to say thank you, though, because season one was a huge success, way, way more than I ever thought it would be. And I owe it to you guys. So thank you for that. And I just want you to know in season two, I'm trying to be more purposeful. I want to deliver even more for you, something of real value. So at the very end of every episode, there's going to be a downloadable playbook. All you got to do is go to the website. This is DinoKatsiametis.com. And I know that's a mouthful. So Dino, the mortgage guy, Dino, Ethos Lending, Dino, the Way podcast. You can kind of say whatever you want to say. It'll get there. I promise you. And then you can, if it's one of the last episodes we did, it should be on the homepage. But if not, you can go to the little podcast tab, find any of the shows that you want in season two. And in the show notes, it'll talk about all the different things that we talked about, but it'll also have the playbook, downloadable playbook. And just hit it, download it. I promise you each and every one is going to be valuable, and it's going to be things that you can do to execute today so that today you can leave here with something better, something that you can do to help improve your business. So thank you again. Go to all the social media sites, anyone that you're on, do me a favor, leave a comment, leave a like, tell me that you liked it, because I do have to just admit my love language is little words of affirmation. So tell me you liked it. I'd really appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one.